Support for Consider This is provided by the University of Nebraska at Omaha College of Communication, Fine Arts, and Media.
Once again, from the studios of UNO Television on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, Consider This, a program of issues and information behind today's news.
20 years from now, they're going to point to this facility and they're going to say, I had a part in building that facility, not only for Madonna, but for the citizens of Omaha. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, we've come so far, 'cause this is our world, and this is our time, and these are our plans, we're gonna let them shine. This is our place in the human race, and we won't stop dreaming, no we won't stop dreaming, we won't stop dreaming.
Thursday, September 29th, those dreams officially became a reality. Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Wyatt. Welcome to this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, Madonna Rehabilitation Hospitals. Joining us to talk more about it are Mark Hackle, a PhD. He is the Director of Workforce Management System, and Marilyn Veal, Administrator for the newly opened Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital in Omaha. Welcome to the two of you, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Mark, I want to start with you. How do you explain Madonna to people?
It's a freestanding rehabilitation hospital, but I think the big focus is that we have people that have had major accidents that have happened to them that have acquired, and it's how do you rebuild their lives. So our purpose is, through our team, is to really help them so they can get back to and achieve the goals that they want and achieve their life roles.
Mark, when you say them, be a little bit more specific, if you could, in terms of who you are serving.
We're serving patients who have had spinal cord injuries, brain injury, severe strokes, other acquired injuries, and it's really helping them set with their goals, where do they want to get to, and working with our team.
Okay, and before we talk more about the Omaha campus, it's probably best to go back to where it all began, Mark, and that is Lincoln. So talk to us a little bit about the beginnings of Madonna, if you would.
Well, I've been there for 34 years, and so started there as a speech language pathologist. And if you go all the way back, we've been for 56 years on the Lincoln campus. It was bought by Benedictine sisters who really came in there with the philosophy of what they wanted to achieve and to really make someone's life whole again. And so they started in the 70s, we started working on acute rehabilitation. So that's when we started serving stroke patients. And then over the course of time, we keep adding more and more technology and training for our staff so they can serve that broad range of disabilities that are there.
Yeah, I was going to ask how things have morphed and evolved since your arrival. So just paint a picture for us, if you could, about your first days there at Madonna.
It was a small group. We had 22 beds is what we were serving at that time for the rehab section. And we had, you knew everybody there. You know, you were probably looking at that you had, 200, 300 staff. And so you started with that, and then on our team we might have 2 physical therapists, 2 speech language pathologists, so it's very small. But it was always the same mission with working for those patients and helping them achieve their goals.
How has your role changed over the years?
It's interesting because over the time I started, like I said, a speech language pathologist, and I'm still licensed, and I still maintain that because even with the changes where I was doing direct care with individuals after brain injury, I've always loved that part of it with the interaction with the patients. My role right now is I work a lot more on the patient and employee experience, but I still get to see patients, and so my role more is how do I help staff really get that level of expertise necessary to provide the best care possible for our patients.
Transdisciplinary, right? So
Yes.
Staff pretty extraordinary, obviously, and they really are the foundational piece to everything that is being done there. Talk to us about this particular approach to care, and then we'll go into how this staff effectively carries it out.
It's really how you make sure it's not one discipline that's really working with the patient, everybody together having a central focus. And so you start to look at multiple disciplines that are there, but then part of those, when we look at this, with the nursing staff, with the physical therapist, occupational rec therapist, everybody together working towards similar goals. But I think the big part, you see family members listed, but it's really the family and the patients. They are part of the team. So it is not that they're isolated, they're part of this team overall as we set their goals. They set our direction.
Yeah, and Mark, this kind of thing doesn't just happen though. I mean, I think there are folks who attempt it, right? You guys not only attempted it, you're succeeding, it sounds like, at it. So talk to us a little bit about really what it does take to go from, you talked about very little staff at the beginning, to this kind of growth and being able to make sure that the staff remains kind of one unit while serving their own purposes.
It really, I know a lot of places have core values, but we really believe that we live our core values. And the very base of that is collaboration, hospitality, and respect. And with those three that are in there, it's really, we have to work together as a team for getting towards that endpoint. But so you respect everybody's opinion, everybody really has something to add to this. So when you look at patients, when you look at what the team does, it's really how do they work together to get to that endpoint. But everybody together, not one person more important than the other.
You know, what types of people are you bringing in there, Mark? I mean, when you think about the staff right now as you're sitting here, who are these people? What's their, I'm sure they're different as night and day, right? But they have that common thread. So what is it that you expect to not only see, but sometimes feel about those folks?
Well, you expect people to be competent, you expect them to be courteous, you expect that in all healthcare. What's the difference is compassion. And you can see that with these individuals. They got into healthcare and for doing this for a reason. But we really look for that person who really wants to grow, but who really makes sure that patient and family are always at the center.
Okay, and what's your retention like, Mark? How do you keep people? What's the trick there?
Yeah. We have struggles at times, but I think what it really is just really valuing everyone's opinion and trying to, we're doing more things now with having frontline staff involved with helping us set directions for where we're going. And that really makes a difference. It's not an administrative decision, here's what we're going to do. It's really how do we improve what we're doing with the patients, having staff involved with that and listening to them.
Wow, and Marilyn, that is a philosophy that obviously carried over to Omaha.
Right.
When were you brought into the Madonna family, or how?
Well, just very recently, and so I'm just shy of my 4-month anniversary. So I was working at Bryan Medical Center in nursing administration, nursing director there for almost 20 years. And when I learned of this opportunity to open a new hospital, and of course I was already familiar with Madonna and their mission and their extraordinary success, I just felt like the opportunity was irresistible.
Yeah, you just kind of said that like it, you know, your job was so easy. You make it sound so easy, Marilyn. Talk about, especially your experiences at Bryan and then coming over. What is it like to serve in your role, right?
Right. Well, I think the phrase that I've used for a lot of my career has been, I'm the grease and the glue. So I'm making sure that things work well and take the obstacles as much as I can away from what really impacts great care and what really impacts that satisfaction that Mark was talking about for the employees. And then the glue, of course, when things are not going as well, we've got to hold ourselves together, problem solve, use the talent of all the people around the table to solve our problems and make sure that we hold together, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, healthcare has certainly morphed and evolved. And so what I'd like to do, Marilyn, is ask you the question, what do you see? There's so much good about the evolution, but there are challenges that come along with that. From an administrator standpoint, what do you see as the biggest challenge, and how have you, along with your team, been able to effectively get over that hurdle?
Well, I think Mark summarized it really well when he said in healthcare you expect your caregivers to be competent and courteous. And I believe that the informed consumer and the consumers like we see at Madonna, who have had to go through many different cycles of healthcare, their expectations now are that they're treated as a human being. We all know their needs. We don't ask them repeated questions. We don't try and get information into 6 different computer systems, that we really do get their information once, use it in a wise way, and make them feel like, as Mark said, they're in charge of their care plan to the extent that they can be, and that their family members are involved, and that the physicians feel like they can sit and discuss with their caregiving team what it is we need to do in order to get the person the next leg of the trip.
Yeah, healthcare, to talk about that in terms of big picture is one thing, but when you are serving a very special population, right, it's one thing to hope that your staff has this, this, and this,
Right.
but you add to that element of that population that you are serving. And what is it that you do differently, or how is it that you approach that? Because I think there must be some days where sometimes you forget, right? And you need to be reminded, even if that individual is right in front of you. So Marilyn, what's your key as an administrator to make sure that your staff truly is living that mission day in and day out, as challenging as that can be sometimes, right?
Right. Well, you have to hire for the heart. You have to hire someone who can aspire to the core values, someone who either can demonstrate or has demonstrated that they just really understand the mission and can help the group carry it out, because no one person can do it alone. And then as far as the skills, not only do we train for the basic skills to make sure everyone's competent, but we're very technologically advanced at Madonna. We have really implemented a great deal of science and technology to support that art of caring. And so we have to have people who are not afraid to dig in and contribute to the body of knowledge that will really move our patients forward.
Yeah, an art of caring that has obviously come into Omaha, Mark, and we do have a video that we want to put up. I would like it if you would talk to us about the months that led up, maybe the years, but we probably don't have that much time.
Yeah.
The months that led up to present day as we're rolling that video.
Okay. I think one of the things that we did as we were getting everything set up to go with this, we learned from everything we've been doing over 46 years. And so then as we do that, and then kind of as we're getting ready to open, what we need to change even after we had it in place. I think some of the things is like a new house. You know, as you see the thing on a blueprint somewhere, but now you get into the structure, you say, okay, we have to modify a few things. There are some things that maybe need to be modified for nursing on the locations of where things were placed. But we learned about that and we made those changes rapidly, but we did it by being in the building, checking it out as we were getting ready for opening.
So as all of that was going on, Mark, what did you see as maybe behind the scenes the biggest stumbling block? Maybe something you didn't anticipate, something you did, and then how did you effectively get through that?
Well, I think one of the things we thought about was we needed to have, individual private rooms, and those rooms are beautiful. Make no doubt about it as we were planning those out. But by doing that, it increased the footprint of the building, and to try to have that care in place, right? We had to make some modifications that we're doing on the nursing side and placement of things to make sure we can meet the needs of the patients.
Wow. Any other learning that went on there, at least from where you're sitting, kind of the aha moments as this was all going on?
I think the thing we've always learned is, and I think Marilyn was saying, it's touch, talent, and technology. That's really what we do. But as you looked at this, is really hearing from those patients and learning from what do we have to modify for here. You can have the greatest technology in the world, but if you don't have the people. And so that's really, I think, our big thing when we're hiring people in. We're really looking for that fit, those people that have that compassion and want to make a difference. Because if you want to work in this for the money, you're not going to be there very long. It's really, you have to have that call to why you want to be there. And so we found out, how do we set up those spaces so it's going to make it an environment where there aren't barriers for the staff so that they can meet the needs of those patients.
Marilyn, what else is important for the viewer to know at this point in terms of facts and figures from where you're sitting?
Well, we really are a good-sized hospital. 110 beds were constructed, and that made some people gulp, from my understanding, because they said, well, there's an awful lot of hospital beds in Omaha, but our building houses two very unique niche hospitals. So the garden level is a specialty hospital that will take acute care patients and help them through very long courses of serious illness. So it might be wound care, it might be getting them through using a ventilator, might be lots of antibiotics, or just the really severe brain injuries. And then the first level is the rehab hospital, where someone is really well enough, stable enough that they can manage 3 hours of therapy a day. And so 3 hours of therapy a day is pretty darn tiring. And you achieve certain plateaus, but then we push harder, go further. And so the lengths of stay are really, like a month or longer in our facilities. And that's different for patients who are used to going to the hospital, getting fixed, and going home. You know, we're on a completely different cycle and time frame.
I think it's important that you point that out, because anymore we hear a word and we sometimes can assume, which is not necessarily a good thing, but you have hospital in your name. So yes, then that image does come to mind. I want to take you both back to the grand opening, right? September 29th, official. Marilyn, tell us about that day from your perspective, and maybe some of the big wow moments that your visitors experienced.
Well, I heard from everyone I talked to about the natural lighting. We have just such excellent use of light and space and room to move, room to see a distance. I just think the open lighting just invigorates a person and sometimes soothes a person to just have natural light. Our buildings can be just too dark, you know, in the world we live in. And I also heard a great deal of curiosity in the rehab therapy areas because of the technology we have. We have very interesting machines. We had some cooperative patients that were willing to demonstrate the machines for people. And there were just lots of questions and intrigue about that, because you just don't think about what machines can do for a body. You know, we're in a world now that we haven't been in before, where we're really trying to retrain our brains to retrain our bodies. It's very interesting.
And Mark, those machines, and they are pretty fascinating, and that building, bricks and mortar, they come with a price tag, right? So how is it that Madonna is able to move forward the way that it has in terms of being what I would think would be a leader in all of this, right? How does that happen?
I think it's being very good stewards of our resources is a big factor with that. Having great people that can go out and talk to the community and find people that can assist us as being benefactors to provide that and help us with the startup and to provide that. We have been able to, by doing an excellent job, we've been able to do well with being able to reinvest into what we do and to grow. We follow very closely, though, with saying the way we get to that point is when we have, and I always focus on the staff, but when you have the really engaged staff, then you have the engaged customer or the patients that come in, which then result in you're able to hit your mission because they talk about you and the great services you receive. And so when the word gets out about Madonna, the great services we do, that allows us to continue to grow as well.
Wow, what role did that staff play at the grand opening then?
I recall they were tour guides. They were at different stations and where they can talk about their expertise and what they do.
Okay, Marilyn, one of the things that I like to try to ask, because we do go into a place like Madonna or any kind of grandiose, overwhelming environment at first, we see and experience a lot, but talk to us about something that we may not necessarily see or experience that makes Madonna what it is.
Well, I was thinking when Mark was answering you that another key component of Madonna's success is the faith. We talk about faith-based organizations, and if this organization would not have been invested in the mission, above all, heal the sick, that is quoted from St. Benedict, they just persist. We just persist in healing the sick to the extent we can. And so when you come in, there is beautiful sacred art as well as very nice modern art, great talent from a variety of people and places, but it really speaks to your heart, and there's a lot of Nebraska scenery and artwork and artists that can speak to your heart as well. And I just think the therapeutic environment, when you have a kind and caring person at your side and you're working and healing in a wonderful environment, without even realizing it, your body and soul can relax and regrow.
What are you most proud of at Madonna, Marilyn?
Oh, I am proud of the energy that the new employees are bringing to their job, because they're coming from all over, really, southeastern Nebraska, and some of them are very tenured and some of them are brand new, and they are just really bonding with each other over the excitement of getting this hospital going.
Viewers may wonder, you've brought up the staff so many times, what it is that they really do accomplish, which I think is a good segue into the Goal Awards. Tell us about, what are those, Marilyn? What are the Goal Awards?
Well, the Goal Awards were originally established in 1994, and so we have used those to celebrate the lives of people who have faced these terrible dramas in their lives, and they've really had the courage and the stamina and the fortitude to work through their rehab therapy and get the nursing care to help them get in a position to return to their community and then begin to achieve their life goals again. And so these are the people that all the staff people remember as just being exemplary persons working through their illness or their injury.
And I think to meet those folks, it really does drive home how extraordinary not only those individuals are, but the staff who really do drive them individually to do what it is that that staff knows that they are able to do. You had 4 Gold Award winners this year. We picked a young girl from Nebraska. Introduce that video for us, Mark.
You'll hear more about it in the video, but 2 years old when the injury occurred from a motor vehicle accident. And you'll hear in there with the mom was pregnant at the time and she lost her father in the accident. But her story over the course of 6 years is really pretty amazing, and just an example of all these different stories we see all the time, but it's just highlighted through her case.
Let's take a look.
It's late summer in Seward, Nebraska, and an end of the summer ritual occurring in communities throughout the country is underway. A dozen girls gather to celebrate friendship and the completion of another season of softball. But for Callie Zitek, every day is a celebration of a miraculous recovery 6 years in the making. In December of 2009, on a trip home from western Nebraska when Callie was just 2, low visibility caused a head-on crash with a truck.
My husband died on impact. I had no clue. When I woke up from the accident in the car, you know, the paramedics were at my side. I was 27 weeks pregnant, and I remember looking back and hearing Callie crying, and it looked like she was terrified.
By the time she arrived at Children's Hospital in Omaha, Callie was in critical condition with global damage to her brain. 3 days later, when faced with the choice of taking Callie off life support or taking a chance with surgery, her mom, Nikki, told doctors to do their best. The surgery was successful. Callie stabilized and improved day by day over the next month at Children's. She arrived at Madonna just over a month after the accident.
She couldn't walk. She couldn't sit up on her own. She couldn't crawl. She just stopped eating. You could just tell she was weak. But therapy was, every week was awesome. Step by step, day by day, she was coming back to her own.
Callie's little brother Lucas was born while she was still an inpatient, so Nikki's time was split between home and therapy with Callie at Madonna. She was on her way there when Callie first started to walk again.
When I got to Madonna, I went to the lunchroom because that's where my in-laws were. And I remember walking around the corner and Callie was walking and I just broke down and she just walked to me and she gave me this big hug and it was like, oh my gosh, she's back. She's doing all these things that she wasn't supposed to be doing, and this excitement of, Mom, I'm doing it. She was so excited, like, I'm doing this, Mom, all by myself. It was so awesome. It was surreal.
3 months of inpatient transitioned to rehab day, and then outpatient, with progress continuing every step of the way.
The most genuine people, whether they work there, their patients there, their former patients there, everybody holds a special place in your heart, because when you go through this, there's so many other people going through it at the same time. You just become a family at Madonna.
You think of life's milestones in, big chunks. And I think that was probably the uniqueness of therapy. And you step back into Callie's shoes, and all of a sudden, every day was not about the big milestone. It was the little things. You learn to be very appreciative of those things.
The extensive experience of Madonna physical therapists in working with pediatric brain injury patients pointed the Z-Techs in the direction of a dorsal-rhizotomy surgery.
The day after kindergarten graduation, we went down to St. Louis and she had the surgery, and it was the best thing ever for her. It was honestly life-changing, and I would not have known about it if it wasn't for Madonna. I can't thank Michelle and Tara enough for telling me about it. We went back into therapy again. It was literally day by day improvements. 2 weeks after surgery, she was back on the field playing, and it was 4 years to the day of the accident, and she was graduated from therapy. She's walking, she's running, she's being a normal kid, and I would say she's 100% better than what I had even anticipated. I mean, Callie pushes herself. Physically, she pushes herself. Mentally, she pushes herself.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so much better from when I was in the car accident. I'm doing all these things that I couldn't.
She's very heavily involved in dance. She loves, doing softball. She does volleyball. She does basketball. She's out riding the electric scooter. She's out riding her bike. Everything you see from all the other kids in the neighborhood.
I've always told her, don't sell yourself short. Do you have a disability? Yes. Does that define who you are? No. I don't know where she's gonna go in life, but there's something special waiting for her.
Something special waiting for lots of folks. You guys have obviously made a big impact in countless, countless lives. Mark, final thoughts from you.
Well, I think the video shows that's what I share with new employees when they come in, and that's why we do what we do. The why isn't to have higher satisfaction numbers. The why is not to get a profit increase. The why is really to meet the needs of the patients that are out there. And when you can see stories that go in and day out, and people set up those relationships with the patients and the families, that's why we're here. And that's why we're there trying to make it better as we move forward. And we'll continue to have the best trained staff. We'll have the latest technology, but staying to our mission and what we do, that's why we have the results we do. And that's why we're one of the best around.
Marilyn, we do have a few seconds. As kind of the new kid on the block to Madonna, anything you want to leave us with?
Well, I was in a temporary office all summer, and I was amazed at the family members and the volunteers that came through to greet different people in the office and to just share the stories of their success. It was wonderful to get to meet so many of them.
Unbelievable. I want to put up a graphic for our viewers so that they know where to go for more information. Madonna.org. And again, 2 campuses, which is what this program is about. Lincoln, 5401 South Street, Omaha, 17500 Burke Street. Marilyn, Mark, thank you both so much for being here and for representing Madonna the way you have today. Congratulations on the grand opening.
Thank you.
Best wishes moving forward.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television. More information can be found at unotv.unomaha.edu. If you'd like to share your comments about this show, call UNO TV at 402-554-2516 during regular business hours, or email us at considerthis@tvmail.unomaha.edu.